First on the show this afternoon, the former Republic of Ireland international, 118 caps, Manchester United hero and the current Reading first team coach, John O'Shea. John, how are you?
All good, John. Afternoon, everyone. Hope all's okay.
Yeah, great, John. Hope you're good. Seventh in the championship. Bittersweet, I suppose. A good season, though. A progressive season under your coach, Veljko Paunovic. He was a coach that was with the under-20s with Serbia. He won a World Cup there a few years ago. It was his first season. How have you got on?
Yeah, look, very good. He's a great guy. He's a great fella to be learning from. The team that came in with him as well. Obviously, I know Quinton Fortune very well. And Nuno Gomez and Marko Mitrovic. They were the team that came in. So, good. They've had a recent experience out in the MLS, and obviously that great experience they had with Serbia on the 20s winning the World Cup. So, yeah, as you said, bittersweet to finish seventh, but frustrating last kind of probably 6 weeks of the season, if you know what I mean, when you're so close. But as we know, the table doesn't lie, and you finish where you deserve to be.
Have you found the coaching, John? Has it been exciting? What have been the good points? What have been the challenges for you?
Yeah, look, it's something. It's always exciting. It's a challenge. Obviously, you're getting used to the other side of things when you're used to training every week and performing at the weekend or midweek for the games, etc. But no, look, it's good. Really enjoyable, taking things on board, learning from very good people, and hopefully put it into place one day myself and take the reins somewhere along the way.
Have you found it easy to switch from being a teammate to being somebody who has to be a little bit distant from the players? Yeah,
look, I suppose you would. Obviously, some of the lads I played with at Reading for a short spell, they'd probably be able to ask me things a little bit easier, maybe, if you're in the build-up to a big game or stuff like that. So when you're the coach like that, assistant coach, it obviously helps the manager in that sense too. You have that relationship to bounce things off before they maybe need to go in and ask the manager. You know, if they have certain things that they might want to ask, I'd say maybe not today. Wait a few days, cool down, or things like that. You know, so it's good in that sense, but it gives you that taste to maybe want to be the head coach, head manager one day.
We've got Dan McDonnell from the Irish Independent, John, and Johnny Ward with us as well. Dan, I'm sure you've been chronicling John's career for many years, and now it's a different chapter in that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not. I'll more so throw a question to John, but it's obviously it's an interesting transition stage that, like, John's generation of players. You see Damien Duff doing his thing, and I suppose Keith Andrews and a lot of the others doing, taking their steps on the road. Like, John, from your perspective, were you quite happy to go and work somewhere for a while, as to work your way up as such, as you say, rather than maybe taking that leap into a head coach or management straight away? Because I'm sure there might have been opportunities or discussions or stuff that comes up that you could apply for or look into. Like, are you quite happy to take a slightly more patient, educational approach to it almost?
Yeah, a lot happier to do it that way. That's the kind of plan. Obviously, I'm currently doing the pro license as well with the FAI and on the UEFA course as well, which is kind of giving you a management course, but also technical director on sporting side and understanding a little bit of the business side of football, shall we say. So look, I'm very happy with the patient approach, and hopefully it'll pay off in time. But look, you have to take the jump at some stage and get in and learn the ropes too, because you can be as best prepared as possible. But it's things can change very quickly at a club.
It's a hard question to answer. It's not really an either or, but like, for so long of your club career, you're obviously working under one really strong voice, Alex Ferguson, and that's always going to probably come up with you. You'll always be asked about his influence. But I sort of wonder, did you learn as much from the Sunderland experiences as well, and different types of managers, different types of personalities? Maybe some mightn't have been your cup of tea necessarily, along the way. And do you learn as much from maybe more of the lows than maybe as much as the sort of the success of the highs and the Manchester United years?
Yeah, look, definitely. I think that's even the case when you obviously you win trophies at United, but the losses we had too. That's when you learn. That's when you learn the most, I think, when you have those tougher times. But I've kind of described it before as the fantasy and reality. I got the reality, obviously, of the football world up at Sunderland only after a couple of months when Steve Bruce got sacked. So that was the first time that had happened to me in my career. And then, obviously, I think 10 managers followed in the next six seasons. So that experience will be vital. I think, obviously, learning off one of the best managers of all time and being involved in that environment for so long. At United for 13 years will be big for me too, you know.
Did you watch the Sunderland Till I Die series on Netflix? Like, I don't know, did you watch that show?
Look, it's one of those things. I didn't agree with it at the time, but look, that the club wanted to do that, and but you probably, if you've watched it yourself, I didn't feature too much in it. You know, whether that was their choice or my choice, I'll let you decide.
Yeah, but it must be quite jarring in a way to come from the Manchester United machine to go to something. I mean, it's actually very sad what's happened to Sunderland ultimately. Like that, the club is in. Well, it's trying to get out in the playoffs now, hopefully. But you know that the club has fallen to League One. It's pretty hard to get your head around sometimes, I think.
Yeah, it is, and hopefully now Lee Johnson will be able to regather them again for the playoffs, and they can get back into the championship. No, it's an amazing club, and look, we did have some okay times up there as well too. You know, getting to the cup final against the League Cup final against City, and staying in the Premier League for the games or the seasons that we did. You know, because it was always a challenge with the turnover of players and managers. So, no, it's an amazing football club, and I'm glad that came across, I suppose, on the documentary too, that the people behind the scenes in and around the club, there's some great people there, you know, and hopefully for them in particular, I hope it does turn around very quick.
If you want to text a question to John 53106, Johnny, I was thinking to myself when we're speaking to John here, 5 Premier League titles, an FA Cup, a couple of League Cups, a Champions League. If we had as many decorated players in the Irish setup as John now, would be doing all right.
Yeah, and it's just how humble he is as a person as well, you know, and the fact that, you know, over so many caps for Ireland, these are the players, I guess, that we are kind of trying to look for now, and I'd be interested to hear what John says in terms of what's happened with Ireland. I suppose my question for you, John, I know you like the racing, and if you have a stallion and he goes to stud, there's a lot of hype about him, but if his first season goes badly, and basically people write him off. And to kind of transpose that to football, how important is your first managerial job? Because if it doesn't go well, it's almost like, right, where do I go from here? So you kind of have to get it right. You've obviously you're smiling away, so you know what I'm alluding to anyway.
No, look, hopefully there'll be no Geldon. There'll be no Geldon going on.
Alan Reynolds can gouge you.
No, look, it's one of those things. Yeah, look, as I said, you can be as best prepared as you think you are, but look, you have to find, I think, when you look around at certain, you can't always get the perfect match. You want as many things in your favour when you do go into that new job as best you can. Whether it be the age of the squad, the chance to improve the squad, the people that you're going to be working with, the owners, etc., the stakeholders in the club, all those people. If you can get as many of them in your favour, you've got half a chance. And look, it's one of those things. And then sometimes, obviously, a Geldon improves a horse too, doesn't it, Johnny? So, yeah. So you might learn from that first experience, and then you go on and do better things.
Well, you say, like, you know, you talk about Fergie or whatever. Like, replacing him was probably on one level, and we kind of might look at Vinnie Perth at Dundalk. On one level, this is an amazing opportunity. But, you know, the upside versus the downside, you could argue that, like, if you take over a job where, you know, maybe competence is on the floor, that means that necessarily expectations are kind of somewhere between on the floor and realistic. So is that what you're kind of, like, is that where you're thinking in terms of your first job? Like, I'm going to start at a level that I think I can kind of improve them.
Yeah, exactly, Johnny. I think that's the nail on the head, really. In terms of, someone said it not so long ago. I remember being on one of the courses comparing it to a football pyramid. If you think of where teams are and where they can get to realistically on that football pyramid, and when you're taking them over, where are they on that pyramid? if you think they're below the level, etc., or if you think they're at the max, you're going to struggle to improve them. So that'll be a deciding factor maybe on where you take the job.
Somebody's
sorry, sorry, John. I don't know if you haven't spoken to Wayne Rooney, have you? Because I mean, he was dropped. Talk about the first job scenario that we're talking into there, and I mean, I know you would have been involved in a game, but watching that derby last day scenario, and you're sort of looking at him on the sideline, and you're thinking, God, Wayne, do you even need this? He's certainly not doing it for the money. You know what I mean? It's obviously that addiction of football and being involved, but there's obviously that side of it where you are exposing yourself to a very different level of stress, maybe even to what you've experienced as a player.
Yeah, totally. But look, I speak to Wayne quite a bit, and I was speaking to him in the week before that game as well, and he was just saying about how calm, because he knew, look, he's been involved in such high pressurized situations. He knew that the players would be tense, and he just wanted to keep them as calm as possible. But he said he was finding it tough, and that's a natural thing. But that's the what he wants to get into. As you said, he would have had other options to take an easier thing, but he's had that appetite for football from playing professionally from such an early age. He's had that appetite, and he's especially, I think, when he went to America, he kind of made his mind up that he was going to, when he did come back to the UK, he wanted to get into management kind of as quickly as he could, and he managed to keep Derby up. He was hoping it would be obviously a little bit easier than how it turned out, but he got it done in the end.
How have you found observing your other teammate, former teammate Ole Gunnar Solskjaer this season, John? How do you think he's done? Yeah,
look, I think Ollie's done well. Pure and simple. He's steadied everything. He's lifted the mood around the place. Obviously, the last few weeks have been a bit different with the protests and stuff, but in general, I think Ollie's done a very good job. He's got all the players there. I think he spoke about it a while ago, that the players that really want to be at the club, and if he can finish off, it's not the European trophy that they want to be winning, but if they can win the Europa League, it'll be a good thing, because of the semi-finals that they had been losing. So they got across that line now to win the final, and looks like obviously they have second place taken care of too. So, but they have to close the gap, and they know they have to improve the squad. Even when they were on that good run a few weeks ago, nobody was thinking that everything's perfect and they're going to be ready to take on City next season. They knew they needed a bit of improvement, and I'm sure they'll be doing that.
You mentioned the protest there, John. Did you think they went too far? Did you think it was the right thing to do? What is your opinion on it?
Look, John, they've obviously, it's when you go back to when I was obviously playing still there, the green and gold scarves were out for a good while, and then obviously when the team started winning again, it kind of disappeared. But obviously the European Super League brought it all back again, and look, obviously it goes too far when you have policemen getting injured and stuff like that, and breaking into the stadium, and obviously having the game delayed, and it has had an impact on the team. And I think that's what the fans should kind of take into account, because okay, they want to protest against the owners, but let's not affect the team and the players, and they've had to have 4 games in 8 days, I think it was. So it did affect the team a little bit in the end. But look, they're frustrated and they want answers, and hopefully from some of the statements coming out from the owners, that they'll get some soon, hopefully, and that'll calm everything down.
When it comes to the Glazers, Gary Neville's been very strong against them. Do you think it's time for a change? Would you agree with Gary that it is time for a change at Old Trafford?
Well, look, it's one of those things. Unless Gary knows who's going, the new owners that are going to come in, and I think he's got his hands full with Salford at the minute, so I don't think he'll be coming in on board. But look, it's one of those things that will happen in good time. The Glazers have backed managers, and they've obviously, the fans want more answers, and if they can get that, I'm sure maybe a compromise can be reached going forward and get back to challenging at the top of the Premier League, like they got a bit closer to this year. But City, in fairness to them, had an amazing season, and obviously could even finish it off with another trophy in the Champions League as well.
Just in relation to Ferguson and that, and I was always amazed by his ability to kind of, I suppose, evolve, despite the fact that he was getting on himself. And you look at Jose Mourinho, and I suppose generally the consensus, John, would be that he hasn't really changed with the times as a manager. And if the League of Ireland now, it's more or less half the managers are in their 30s, early to mid 30s, or give or take. Now, do you have to evolve, or is it no country for old men at this stage? Or when you see the kids of today, even compared to when you started off, are probably a lot different.
Yeah, that's the thing, Johnny. Getting used to the. I think Jose mentioned about Lampard when he was 22 or something like that. That he was a real man at that type of thing at 22. And that scenario is obviously a bit different now, but. That comes down to the squad and how you adapt to the personalities you have, and knowing how quickly players will respond to certain situations. And there seemed to be the case. Luke Shaw would maybe be a prime example of Jose thought maybe I know he's a good player, so I'm going to try a certain thing with him, and it backfired a little bit, and then it kept backfiring, and then you see Ole Gunnar come in with a different approach. Whether he did anything magical or just spoke to him nice and calm, and then obviously Luke Shaw responded differently. So that's just one example. It's tough in a squad like that, but you're talking about Mourinho, one of the best managers, most successful managers ever too. So yeah, recently he's found it tough, but he still picked up another fantastic job out in Italy and Roma, and so lots of people still have belief in him.
Did Ferguson know what made you tick as individuals, or was it like a kind of I'm the teacher here and I run the class, and you kind of you bow to me? Because I guess Stephen Kenny's success certainly would be I think a lot of it would be that he understands the individual has different needs. Maybe if you're a quiet lad, you're a brash lad, or whatever. Or was he like that?
No, yeah, totally. He knew everybody individually and how to get the best out of everyone individually, and then mastering that collectively. I think that was the key to it. And then obviously, as you said, developing over time, whether that be changing the squad around or changing the staff around, his backroom staff, getting the timing of that done. He was very good at that as well. So all those things in the mix kept producing results for him.
Would you have seen man management qualities in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Like it was 2004 FA Cup final, it's the FA Cup final today. You're both on the pitch at the end of it, John. You would have known him well. Would you have seen the temperament, the belief? Would you have gone to yourself and said, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he'll be a manager in the future? Or has he actually surprised you, his success in getting that job and now progressing with it?
No, I would have definitely said he would have been a manager, yeah, because of the analysis side and how he approached training and stuff like that. He was very very clever in that sense. And look, his record, obviously, he didn't like it coming off the bench and doing so well. He wanted to be starting, but you could see how that. And look, it was obviously came on a little bit sooner for him too with the knee injury that he had to stop with. So. Those things combined made him head down that route, but he was always going to be a manager. I always felt that because of how he approached the game.
Was it always a big thing for you, a kid, watching the FA Cup final on TV, John, and then you ended up playing in one? Yeah,
it really was a big thing. I remember a little cul-de-sac that we lived in Ferrybank. There would have been a few neighbours not too happy with what went on in terms of bit of damage to gardens and windows and stuff, but it was a big weekend when the FA Cup final was on. A little bit different these times, but it's still a big day. And I think when you look at Chelsea, obviously they've got the Champions League final to look forward to, but for Leicester, I think it'll be a really Chelsea have had recent success in it too, but for Leicester, I think it's a huge day.
What do you recall about 2004 against Millwall, or even the finals that didn't go so well? Anything stand out?
Yeah, look, the finals that didn't go so well stand out because I should have a few more FA Cup medals in the locker. The one against Arsenal down in Cardiff, in particular, that one where I don't know how we didn't score. I think Rude forgot his shooting boots maybe that day, and obviously we lost on penalties. against Arsenal. The Chelsea one where maybe if goal line technology were there, I think it was Giggsy maybe had one over the line. Chelsea blocked it out. But against Millwall, it was a big day because there was a lot of pressure on us because obviously Millwall were such underdogs. We felt when we beat Arsenal in the semi-final at Villa Park that was obviously, you're not taking things for granted because you know anything can happen in a one-off game. But once we got over Arsenal, we were confident we could do the job against Millwall. And they proved a bit of stubborn resistance on the day, but we did it comfortably in the end.
We obviously have to get to the national question, John. What are we going to do about Ireland, and how encouraged are you by the young players coming up with what you've seen? Because I think people can get, like, maybe they can lose sight of the potential that we have if people are patient and get maybe wrapped up in the results of the last year or so.
No, exactly. That's the key, Johnny. The patience, and I know everyone behind the scenes. Obviously, I'm involved with the 21s, with Jim Crawford and Alan Reynolds and Rennie Gilmartin. So we fleetingly saw some of the boys that have gone up to the senior squad already, and obviously you're aware of some of the younger ones. We just hope that they keep getting enough game time, Johnny. That's the big thing, that they're competing, that they're not just on the bench too much. I know it's tough because the competitiveness of the Premier League and even the Championship, you see the size of some of the squads. So we need to get as many boys playing as many games as possible, and that's what I've always found going through the years with the Irish team. When we do meet up, if you've got boys playing, it makes a difference when it comes to those competitive games. You know, it just makes a difference of getting over the line and getting those wins on the board.
And do you feel like there is a genuine pyramid system? You spoke about it earlier, the pyramid system from Ireland, from the senior team down to, say, the 15s or whatever, where, like, maybe before Stephen Kenny came in, the under-21s was almost like it was just something that people didn't think of. Nobody really noticed the results. Is there, obviously with Tom Owen and Colin O'Brien and the lads that have all been there, is there a system that we want to play this way and filter it up to the senior team?
Yeah, you'd hope. Yeah, there would be. The Jim and them and Stephen would have regular meetings with the underage, as you said, Tom and Collie, the underage managers, and Andy Reid as well. When Andy was there, he's obviously involved with Forest now, but they would have had regular meetings, and you're pushing on the best kids as much as you can. You want the kids to play at their own age, maybe as much as possible, but because of the numbers we have to keep pushing up the age groups as quickly as possible to get them in and get them developed that bit quicker.
You got to see much. I mean, think of the championship season and the young players, and we probably started it, John, looking at Troy Parrott and probably Adam Ida, and yet at the end of it, we're talking about Andrew Amoba-Badele, who's been amazing at Norwich, albeit in a very short number of games. But have you had, with your centre halves hat on, have you had a chance to see much of him in terms of analysis and looking at him?
Yeah, look, Andrew. He's had an amazing end to the season, and I saw him play just before he got into Norwich's first team up at Reading's training ground against their under-23s as well. And he stood out in that game too. Great composure, but can just switch the gears effortlessly when he needs to, reading of the game. Everything about him, he's a cool customer. And then got the chance to work with him down at Wales when we played Wales under 21, and he stood out there as well. But look, he'll obviously getting promoted with Norwich will be fantastic for him now. With he going into the Premier League, he'll have another test to climb, and whether Norwich decide to, I'm sure they'll want to keep him and let him develop at the club. But maybe he needs to keep playing too, because he's at that level now physically where he can cope. And it'd be interesting to see what develops over the summer, but he's definitely one to look forward to.
We're just running out of time. Just a quick rapid fire questions, John, before I let you go. Just a text in here. Don't forget the Figo nutmeg when it comes to listening to John's accomplishments, says Peter in Roscommon. Who was your most difficult opponent, says one of our texters?
Well, there was a few lads in training for a few years at United now. Would have been very difficult. Ronaldo, Rooney, Tevez, when you're up against them boys, it was obviously a great test. But the rest, you're talking about Henry and Aguero, they would have been two of the ones that would have been very difficult.
Mark in Limerick is asking, what was your best goal scored? Was it Anfield versus Liverpool?
Yeah, I wouldn't say the best one.
The chip?
The chip. But I like the one in the. There's not that there was too many to remember now, but there was that one in the semi-final of the Champions League as well at Old Trafford. We got the lead in the first leg of the semi-final. It's kind of forgotten now because we battered them in the second leg as well. So, but that was a nice one.
I hear you're going for the vaccine today.
I hope so. Yeah, I'm going out now in the next hour. So fingers crossed, all will go to plan.
Get it before you're gelded anyway.
Yeah. Stallion career awaits. So look, myself and my wife are happy with 3 kids, Johnny. So we're all good.
Not like Kevin Doyle breeding champion horses as well. He's Augusta Cape this week. Yeah,
he's doing well. He'll have a few more nice ones to come. He keeps me updated. So he'll have to increase security, I think, down at that farm in Wakeford.
John, you're a legend for coming on. Thanks so much, and the best luck with Reading going forward.
No worries, guys. Take care.